Hello, good day everyone. Welcome to the stream. Today we are going to continue our investigation from a couple of weeks ago, trying to make slowly progress towards these issues that we have on the screen now. This is a desire to ensure that different kinds of servers inside CockroachDB are properly identified as such inside traces and log files. Now, we had a project ongoing, which was this PR 2 weeks ago, and then it got reviewed, and there was comments basically saying this is not good, and this needs to be re-engineered. And so today we are going to try out these solutions that Radu has tried to explain in this comment. And so that's the same issue. And that is a side issue that we might want to tackle later on. So, in a nutshell, the solutions that Radu explained is that we can revisit this PR from a while ago and do this work slightly differently. And the suggestion is to use a single data structure to report both node IDs and SQL Server IDs inside the same tracing and logging tags. And so we're going to try just that. All right, let's get the latest code. And verify that we can build it here. Music courtesy of Vintergatan from Sweden. Such a good number. All right, that seems to build fine, so we can make progress here. So, the server, the change that Radu is suggesting is to replace this log tag here by having a log tag n that is going to serve both the purpose, this one here, change this one, and replace this by logic that is going to report the SQL instance ID as well. So this data structure here, the node ID container, we have two versions of it. Is either a node ID container or a SQL ID container. And then the SQL ID container can contain also node ID as an alternative. And that's really odd. And so what we're going to do is revisit this data structure here to somewhat create a container that can be either one or the other, depending on stuff. And that stuff we are going to figure out today. All right, so the node ID container is used in a bunch of places. Let's see where the SQL instance ID container is being used. So the registry has a node ID and it's going to be a SQL ID container. Then we have a SQL ID container and a node ID container in different places. So I suggest but we add a boolean here. And then we will have here a node ID container like this. And then we will have some value like this. And there will need to be somewhere a right, old val set2. This. And then all right, server. Let's see. It's a string. And then we're going to this. And then here. Like this. So what we just did here is make the node ID container able to store both node IDs and SQL instance IDs at the same time. Let's see where this is being used. Come on. I'm making a mistake here. Oh yeah. So resistances. And then check what this is being used. It's taking a lot of time. Okay, we'll need to check this out later. Set up node ID. RC node ID container and ID set context node ID. DB context, the basic ID container. All right. Okay. Let's see what it says here. ID container. For instance, ID. Some methods. ID container. Okay. So node ID container going to be this one, and then a SQL instance ID. This one will remove for node, I suppose. New server, yeah. All right. New SQL ID container. For node. And then this one here. We're going to check in a minute. So SQL instance like this. like this. Like this. And then I will have so. Okay. Oops. Okay. Set. Cool. Alright, so what we're doing here is that bit by bit we are shaving off functionality from the SQL ID container. What's this? Let's see, where is this implemented? We need to have this. Okay. Right. I think we are making progress here. And then this one here. And node ID of 1. That is strange. I don't fully understand what that means, but we're going to figure that out very soon. Let's take a cup of tea. Hydration is important. Let's fix this for a second, but I actually don't like this. This seems suspicious. Okay, now this builds, but it's not going to be correct. The testing ID container is creating a problem here. Don't let the fact it builds fool you. This is actually generating invalid code. And that too. I will have to figure out someday why my editor doesn't know how to include Go packages that are not prefixed properly. And then this one, I suppose. Okay, so this builds, but it doesn't build properly. That's very incorrect. So now we need to figure out what this testing ID container is used for, because I don't fully understand it. Test. So let's see what this field here, node ID, is used for. I'm not exactly sure. My LSP is really taking a lot of time to process this source directory. Look at this. It's 20 gigabyte of memory used, and still in the process of analyzing my source code. It's just taking forever and forever and forever. So we need to wait for that to complete before I get proper tab completion and source code lookups and so on. It's a bit inconvenient. Look at all this CPU time being used. Mildly annoying. I wonder if there is a way for it to cache its results. The fact it's taking so much time every time is isn't surprising somewhat. Or maybe that's because I upgraded my version of Go yesterday, and the cache is specific per version. Something like this, maybe. Okay, let's try without a node ID. So that's going to be new SQL ID container of 10, like this, and then hope for the best. So which package are we in here in base? Let's compile and test it and see what the base test suit says. Yeah, it says I'm fine, and then say tenant no server CCL. What do I have here? Server test utils. I don't know what that means. Okay, let's see. like this. Okay. Okay, so this looks approximately okay. And now we're going to fix this. So now I have this here, this looks fine. And then we have this one here, which is a new server. Yeah, okay. We can just maybe try it. What's the name of that example? Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're going to try this. Cool. So we've made a commit here, and then we're going to send this to CI to see if there are issues with the semantics. And so we are still doing this. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what the log file says. Cool, so here we have a node ID in every place. That looks fine. And if I say true, we will see a node ID as well. Ah, that's interesting. We see SQL1 here. And that's fine, okay. So, SQLi, we want to change this. Here. Okay. This also revisits the change in this one by switching the tracing logging prefix to NSQL SQL servers. All right. And then let's verify this. This indeed does the things that we said it does. So we have some N1 here, which is the node part of the work. And then hopefully we have the... we need to rebuild, of course. Let's build again. Yeah, we can see it here. NSQL1, N1, NSQL1, NSQL1. N1, this is like the base process, and that's the SQL process. Party in my pants. Cool. Cool. And then we are going to copy paste these parts into the PR description for completeness. Like this. Okay. And now we are going to make another change. So Sakasa is explaining on the chat, nice keyboard. It was my daily driver for over 4 years before I switched to a 60% KB recently. Really helps to learn blind typing if there is no key labels, although I did mess up my passwords more often than not. Yeah, thanks for the comment. So this is in if you know the keyboard already, that's the DAS Keyboard Ultimate. I have never used a 60% keyboard. I understand these are keyboards without the key, the numeric keypad on the side, and if that is the case, I'm not completely comfortable because I actually do use my keypad quite a bit. Many people think that they want a 60% keyboard because they want to avoid moving their hand too much to the side to use the mouse. And so when you drop the keypad, the mouse can be put here, and so there is less movement overall. But what I'm noticing is that I actually use my mouse extremely little. And so for me, my hand moves to the keypad, and that makes me happy. And yeah, I agree with you with the passwords thing. It's sometimes a little bit annoying, and I use the password manager. This way I don't have to remember my passwords. So 6% is without keypad, function keys, arrow keys. So arrow functions, I don't mind too much. I would be completely okay having a combo, like pressing some modifier and some letter key to do arrows instead. That is not an issue at all. Let's see, function keys, that I don't know. I don't think I would miss them much. But what I would definitely miss is a print key, print screen key, and the scroll lock key. These I use quite a lot, so I don't exactly know what I would do without those. I also use the home, delete, page up, page down. Well, again, all this could be done with combos, I suppose. Well, the print screen key I use to take screenshots. Quite a lot. Like a big part of my job is to draw rectangles on my screen and or take a screenshot for the entire screen. And the scroll lock key is to stop the scrolling when the terminal is printing a lot of stuff, especially in the console when I'm not using a X server. I don't remember what the key is in the middle between scroll lock and print screen. Is that the pause key, maybe? Let's see what it says. I don't remember. It doesn't... Oh, that's scroll lock. And pause is the last one. I see. Okay, yeah, pause. Pause I don't use. I mean, I don't use. I suppose if I were to press pause in a game, it would still have the function of pause, but I don't play games with these keyboards, so... yeah, so I mean, there is something also I need to disclaim, and that is that I don't really like to put my hands in a weird position above the keys. And so what I think with the 60% keyboard is that the combos I would need for the arrows and the other modifiers, that would put my hands a little bit uncomfortable. And so Well, let's put it this way. I don't have much experience, so I don't know exactly. I don't feel the pressure. So as long as this one doesn't break, I will probably continue using it. All right. So what we need to do now is to work on our node ID here and pull it up. How can we do this? Oh, Sakasta says that's true for stuff like selecting words and full lines and some weird hand position involved. I guess I should change how it gets for it. You're not distracting, that's okay. It's nice to have a chat. Thanks for keeping me company. So what is the 60% keyboard you've chosen, by the way? I'm curious now. Ducky Mecha Mini. Alright, what's the layout for this? Caps lock is good. Tab, shift, big shifts, that's nice. Control, alt menu. Okay, so all these things at the bottom are kind of fine. Oh, FN key, yeah. Backspace, enter. Okay, so the base layout is quite fine. So lack of function keys, I understand. Oh, the escape key has a corner here. Oh. Oh. Interesting. Wait, so what is in this corner here? The back quote. Oh my gosh. How can I do my work without the backtick? At the corner of the screen. Where is the backtick on this keyboard? There is no backtick. My gosh. How do you work? I use a backtick all the time. So is it like a modifier key FN escape to get the back key? Caps lock is your modifier. Oh my gosh, caps lock is your modifier. Yeah, that does not work at all. I use caps lock as a control key. So this caps lock key for me is completely taken for other purposes. But I do want to say, of course, it's very cute. Where do you get those keys? Is it Novatech? Oh my gosh. Advertisements. Anyway. I'm getting distracted now. Not because you're distracting me, is because I want to program, and if I go shopping for keyboards, it's going to take hours. Oh well. So the reason why caps lock is such a useful control key is that when you use Emacs, like I do, I mean, like I actually use the console quite a bit, all the control combinations of keys are much more comfortable to do with the pinky on the caps lock key. That's what it is. All right. That's SSID. Oh, that is so dirty. So dirty. All right. So I heard from our Radus that we wanted to have the instance ID inside actually, there is something interesting happening here. Get that if the container is configured to contain SQL instance IDs, get still works. This ensures that the components such as the RPC context, which mainly use a node ID container that can be instantiated for a SQL instance server, are able to use a SQL instance ID as node ID. That's what it is. So this one we need to add to our commit for clarification. Like this. And now we can come back to config here and then talk about this. It's going to be not here, it's in server. Fake. All right. So so I guess you have to get back to work yourself. See you around. Yes, see you around. Have a great day. And thank you for the follow. All right. So what are we going to do about this? Do we want a node ID container or do we want a SQL instance ID container? Let's see. Okay. And what about this one? Instance ID container is going to be here. Alright, so this one we are going to change. Oh, so actually we can do this. Like this. And then we are going to do this. And then return a C. Like this. And then this one here, we're going to say like this. All right, so I have switched my API. Let's verify this builds. I think it does. All right. All right. Now we are on the road to do our config thing here in this. Oops. Here. So we have a base config. And it's going to be oops. Oh, I exited my Emacs instance by pressing Ctrl X, Ctrl C. That is not clever. All right. Actually, we just we have an interesting situation here, which is that we've been working at this for now a full hour. And it's very important to take a break every hour, to not be working continuously. And so that's what I'm going to do now. Take a little break, move a little, get some water. And I encourage everyone watching to also take a break and move the body. And then we will reconvene again in a couple of minutes. Let's say maybe at 10 past the hour. See you in a bit, everyone. Hello everyone again. Thanks for waiting and sorry for the little tardiness. It is time to resume this. So what do we have here? What we want is to populate the base config with an identifier, a container for identifiers, that is this one here. And so we have a make base config. And so we are going to say and then we like this. And then here we remove this one. And this one can be removed. Okay. Then this one will probably not need this. If I'm not mistaken, we're using the same ambient setx, which already has a notation. Like this. And then here, server.go here, we will probably need, .NET says there is already a base config somewhere, right? This one we don't need. Like this. All right, let's try this out. How is that previous PR going? Doesn't build. Doesn't build, that's kind of a bummer. So we need to fix that first before we commit the rest. What does the CI say to us? Everything broken. That's what it's saying. All right, we'll fix that in a sec. So I suppose we get the node ID pretty much everywhere here, and that's pretty good. And then if we do this one, we should see a mix of the instance ID and the SQLs. Yeah, so we have NSQL1 and N1. So that's pretty much okay. All right, but node ID here, we do want to do like this. Cool. Let's stash those changes and fix what the CI is telling us. So already standard test. Has an arg, an ID of wrong type, not ID container. Okay. Standard test. So it's inside transport. Come on. Okay, I'm okay with that. This is a new error though. This failure would exist even because node ID container is not an integer, was not an integer. So we need to fix that anyway, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, actually that hasn't changed recently. So why is it that the node ID here, which is a node ID container, which is an integer, is failing when presented as a thing? Oh, that's just because I think that the node ID container is used to be something that has an integer. I don't know why it's this way, but it doesn't seem right in any case. So that is an S. Oops, I should have created a branch. Okay. Then we go back to our other branch and we rebase on top of what we just did. Okay. And then what does the CI tell us more than further? And so we're going to get that in a minute. Dependencies. So we have a lot of failures, presumably. So lint is failing. Okay. Then bench is failing. Okay. This is failing, and I believe that. Rochevet. Those are the only ones that failed. Oh, I can make peace with this. That seems fine. Alright, so let's be at peace with this. This one I don't fully understand. So let's see what the editor is telling us. Where do I have an error? Build failed. Site transport. Okay, well, I believe that is true. That's exactly what we're just fixing. All right, that works now. So that should run now. Then test failure here. We saw other tests fail. That might have something to do with our call exec. My fears that my text editor is not going to be happy about this log file. Let's see. Open with. I actually did open it, but it's not exactly. This is too large, so let's go to the download directory, which I think is going to be Mozilla. Yep, that's this big 45 megabytes file. Build failed. Site transport. Okay, well that is still the same issue as earlier, so we only have one build fail, so that's probably okay. Then we can hope that this CI failure will go away after we rebase this. Then we can create a new branch. Like this. Right. But we are going to check whether the node ID container is being used to is instantiated on its own, like this, for example. Like this, for example. In fact, that is exactly the kind of problem that we will need to address. Node ID. All right, we will need to look into this in a second. Release test. SQL ID container for node. Okay. Okay. What about this one here? Node ID container, suppose that is fine. So that's the RPC context, which I don't like because it is its own instance. We will want to share that with the remainder of the server. So we'll see about that in a minute. Standard test. This one we already had a look. Probably fine. So these are initialized from elsewhere, so that's fine. That is default DB context. I don't know what that is. We'll see in a second. Client test. That's fine. This is fine. This is probably okay. Okay. Gossip has its own. Yeah, that's okay. That's for a test. Oh, also. And then we have this one here, which is fine. And then this one is fine. We knew about that already. Okay, so. Okay. Let's commit those changes already. So this one actually we will want to have in, this is testing code, so this can go into a separate branch. Okay, this one, what do we have here? This is not context. All right, so this one will be like this. Like this. And that will go to a different branch. The one we were at earlier, which is this one. Come on. Oh. Like this. And for this, and then we have this, and then this is going to be an Andrew thing. This. Cool. So this one seems to still be failing, or maybe not, it's not. Okay. Right. It is failing in Basil, we'll see about that. And then this one is ongoing. And we were seeing something else that was maybe suspicious. This one, oh yeah, see, RPC situation is a bit confusing. Why is this one here such a separate thing? I think I confused my GoPLS again, no? Did I not? Maybe, maybe not. It's here. $26 GB. Holy moly. What do I have here? Merge. And then we probably want okay, I'll do it afterwards. What does that say? Okay. So this one we already have. Okay. I'm being confused. Discard. This dash drop. Drop, I said. No, that's not the change I wanted to make. We have a change in one other branch that I just created, and I just don't remember where it is. Is it this one? Oh, it's a shared container. Let's do this. And that is going to be this one. Maybe I'm already there. Yes, that looks fine. But I want to rebase it on top of this one, because this way I have a chain, a stack chain of PRs. Like this. Okay. So that seems fine. Now we have connected our ID container, and I'm going to make that a PR. Okay. And then it supersedes this. And so we have this one. And this comment. Oops. Okay. Let's see where we go with this. Access. Cool. This one is still failing here, so let's see what this failure is about. Maybe we can fix it. I heard something on the Twitch. Welcome, Biting Bits, and thank you for the follow. That's cool, so we have a linter error, so that's good. And for node ID container. All right, we're going to work on that. Cool. This. Okay. Okay. Oh, nice. I already have a review. That's great. Cool. So this one goes forward. So that one is before. And then we have this one. And then this one. There's 3 bases. Oh yeah. Like this. Like this. And then this one. Like this. Cool, cool, cool. And we need to look into that RPC context. What is this thing here saying? Build short, go PLS. Go PLS is somewhere. Go PLS is somewhere. Has died. Where's my go PLS? So now we're seeing a Go PLS that is rebuilding everything again. Take a little while. So that is a new server. Ambient context is here, that's great. Context options. The new context, okay. Nods plus ID. Heartbeat service. Yeah, that seems fine. And then we have a cluster ID container. Probably want to have the cluster ID container also. New network. Server. Cluster ID. Oh, actually, that's interesting because I might want to have the cluster ID instance. Okay, that's actually interesting. So the cluster ID in RPC context is a primary instance that everyone is using. So I'm going to leave that on its own. Then we want a node ID to be the one that is shared. Alright, so state, so that changes. That is in the pre-start. Interesting. So pre-start. State.node ID. I suppose. State. Serve and wait. So that's where the node ID is going to be. To be initialized. State. State. Bootstrap. It's coming from here. Then it's going to have a try bootstrap. Then bootstrap cluster. And then we have here an attempt to store a node ID and then some initialization. Okay. So I'm okay with all this. And then we have test stats handler with heartbeats. New test context. Sure. This is test context. Sure. So all these tests here I don't mind. And then origin node ID. There's a ping request. Sure. All right. So we're going to make this configurable like this. And then here we pass this. And then here, text options, we will have like this. Okay. Okay. Access. And that is our tenant. Access. And we have this one here. And then we are going to say access. Cool. And now we can go to the context.go and use our node ID context here. Okay. Context options. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. Context here. The node ID in the context itself can be removed. This one goes away because we have it in the context options already. Let's see if this struct gets constructed anywhere. Maybe I did not. That is not obviously failing just yet, so I'm unhappy yet. Okay, run the tests in the RPC package. Okay. So we have another node ID container here. Now that one here is confused. That doesn't look right. What package is this? It's in the local test cluster. Interesting. I have a new store. I don't hate it. What is this one? Most new context, I suppose. Oh, let's fix that too. Alright, so we'll want to fix that. Let's fix that. Like this, and that can be continue like this. That'll be fine. RPC context node ID. So I think that won't be necessary because I think that the RPC context is going to be sharing. So we have base config, base cfg. The RPC context, it's in the args. Okay. And the args, where are the args? It's in make tenant SQL Server args. Let's see what this says. Come on. It's here. Our RPC context is here. So we will have an RPC new context. Okay, so the RPC context is set up here, meaning that this one probably is not needed anymore. Because it's already set in the shared context. All right. So this one is fine. What about this one here? New test context. I suppose. So we're sick. Okay, that's fine. All this is fine. Context.go. This is fine too. Alright, so here we have two changes. One that needs to go into this commit that we are doing. That catalog lease thing here is going to belong to different commits. Okay. Exec infra PB. That is going to be a separate commit after this one. I'm going to do that in a bit. So this one is Okay. That will need to be in a commit in a minute, but we need to stash the changes because we have a mistake in this one. Or in this one. This one. Yeah. Then we have this one. And then this one. Like this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. So we get also CI failure, so we'll have another sequence of rebasing in a second. Oh well. Right, so we have here infra PB. Okay. And that thinks that will kind of complete it for today. We will now investigate that failure. So I'm assuming this is going to merge without errors. That's great. So there is a CI failure here, so we need to investigate that. And then once we fix it, we are going to rebase the other 4 PRs. Test misplanned ranges. Okay. Row exec. Yeah. Okay, so that test fails like it should. Let's ask for help. I'm presuming this is the only test that fails. Testing ID container. Okay, that's. And then. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Never mind, so that seems to work. So we don't need that comment, so I'm going to ignore that. And then we can rebase all the others. On top. Next one. This one will need to be adapted, I think. because now the type has changed in the RPC context. Yeah, I think that works. This. Since the next one is the last one, here's the sequence. And off we go. All right. So that was quite a long streak, and we worked for 1.5 hours since the last break, and that is a little bit more than it's healthy. So I think that now we have made a lot of progress. So one bug fixed, PRs merged, then this one, and then this one, and then this one that actually fixes this problem, and then this one, and then this one. We have more or less addressed all the open questions in this issue here, and so probably once this is merged, we will be able to close this. But I'm expecting maybe a little bit of discussion in the review, so we'll see about that. Cool. Well, that was a lot of progress in one day. I'm pretty happy with the result. I'm sorry that the camera got so dark. I forgot to turn the light on, and I was so concentrated, so focused. But that happens anyway. So that was quite the intense experience and satisfying result. Thanks for accompanying the stream. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the follows for the new people, and we will resume in the live stream next week, Thursday. I wish everyone a great weekend, and if you are in the US, enjoy your Thanksgiving. See you all.